blood on his hands, not the right guy for the job. Who is? Solomon. Someone said his name in Hebrew, Shlomo, which means what? Peace, shalom, okay? The king of peace builds over here the first temple 3,000 years ago. It stands here for about 400 years. And that means that 2,600 years ago, the Babylonians, under the rule of Nebuchadnezzar, conquer the city, destroy the first temple, banish the Jews into exile. A short time passes, a few years, and a Persian king named Cyrus conquers Babylon, allows the Jews to return and rebuild the second temple. 70 years, that's it. After the destruction of the first temple, the Jews complete building the second one. And this means that the elderly, the seniors, those who were 80, 90 years old, when they saw the second temple finally built, were they happy? You're right, they weren't happy at all. Why? Because they remembered when they were children, kind of your age, they saw the first temple, which was much more beautiful. Because who came back from Babylon? Okay? The poor people. The rich people stayed in the United States. Hey, Babylon. Okay? So they're seeing this second temple, and they're kind of bummed out. They cried. If you open the Bible, you'll see a story about a prophet living during those days. His name was Haggai. By the way, how's your coming along? Perfect. All right, good job. Haggai tries to comfort these people. Tells them, don't worry. Eventually, the second temple is going to be much more splendid, much more glorious, but he forgot to mention a very important detail. It's not going to happen in their lifetime. They're not going to get a chance to see it. When does it happen? Okay, so let's start talking a little bit about the Western Wall tunnels, specifically the Western Wall. 2,000 years ago, towards the end of the Second Temple era, a very famous king comes into power over here. His name? Herod. He was the representative of the Roman Empire. He wants to appear as a kind king. He wants the Jewish people to like it. He doesn't want a rebellion on his hands. What could he do for the Jews to appease them? Take the small structure that was standing here and turn it into this. Now how do you get from this to that? When Herod starts his project, he has a few difficulties. First of all, the hill in the north is higher than the peak of the mountain. This is a problem. So the first thing he did, it took him a few years, it's going to take us a second. There you go, cuts it out. This entire area becomes a quarry. This is where he cuts out huge stones, and he tackles his second problem, the low parts of the mountain. Fills in with stones, surrounds it with 4 walls. On top of that, builds a huge platform, a massive structure that exists till today, the Temple Mount. How big? 250 meters by 500 meters, 800 feet by 1,600 feet. Let's put it in the language we can all understand. About 20 soccer fields or 25 football fields. Give it, okay? That's the size of the platform, 2,000 years ago. Of course, above that, he renovates the second temple, and now we have a much more beautiful temple than the first one. Now, this is a better example, by the way. You'll notice that back in the day, all along the Temple Mount, there's a road. This used to be the main marketplace. Just imagine all along this road, shop, 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 shop. I personally like calling this the original Wall Street. Doesn't last for long. Why? In the year 70, almost 2,000 years ago, a Roman general named Titus conquers the city, destroys the second temple. We're jumping forward in time to about 1,300 years ago, when the Muslims came here for the first time in history. They sanctify the city to the Islam, and they build a structure you all see outside today. What's the name? The Dome of the Rock, or the Golden Dome. A few years later, they're going to build another structure right over here, the Gray Dome, the Al-Aqsa Mosque. This is not a mosque. This is a monument, a shrine. According to their tradition, the place where Muhammad begins his ascension. Okay? We're jumping again in time a few hundreds of years to about 800 years ago, which in Jerusalem time is practically yesterday. We don't count hundreds here, we count thousands. 800 years ago, another group of Muslims come here, the Mamelukes. the Mamelukes, who were devoted Muslims, okay, lived down here along the wall, and they do not want to climb from up here to the mosque. How many times a day? 5 times a day. Up and down to pray like a yo-yo. That's not convenient. So what do? They fill in the valley with arches. They raise the level of the city. On top of that, they build streets, they build houses, and they create what we call today the Muslim quarter in the old city. You could see that today, the Muslim quarter covers most of the wall, leaving us a small portion exposed. What's this? That's the plaza you just saw. Yeah, 10% out of the entire actual wall. So I hope we all understand now that today we do not see the western wall of the temple. We see the western wall of the Temple Mount, the external retaining wall. Why is it important? Why is it holy? Simple. It is the closest wall to the most inner room in the temple called the Holy of Holies. And we are now standing here. This is where we are. What we're going to do is approach the wall, okay? But not on the classic level. We're going to go deeper to places that were dug up recently, in the last few years. Actually, I could use, I think, some of the new technology to explain. Let's see if this works. So, wait, do you like pressing buttons? Do you want to press a button? אתה רוצה ללחוץ על הכפתור? זה כפתור ומשהו יזוז במסך. בוא, תחץ את זה. כן, תחץ. עכשיו תראה. Wow! So, thank you for destroying the city. No, he didn't destroy it. Titus did this 2,000 years ago. Then we said that 1,300 years ago, the Muslims built here exactly where once stood the Temple of the Golden Dome. And 800 years ago, the Mamelukes built their neighborhood along the wall, and they covered completely. Did you hear what I just said? Completely. Why is it that today we have a portion outside that's not covered, right? A plaza, no houses. That's a modern story. Okay? Just over 55 years ago, right after the 1967 Six-Day War, some of the houses are cleared. The plaza, as you know it today, is created, and the Western Wall tunnels is basically all the spaces underneath the houses. Most of them have not been dug yet. We haven't excavated most of this area. We'll say something about that later. We are standing here. This is where we are right now. Okay? And what we're going to do in a second is start walking along a 2,000-year-old bridge. Okay? A bridge that went over the valley, which is 5 floors underneath us. Okay? Connecting one mountain to the west, Mount Zion, where the Jewish quarter is, to the Temple Mount. Let me show you quickly how this bridge looked like back in the day. Here's the bridge. Okay? We're somewhere over here. And above our head, by the way, today, where once upon a time there used to be a bridge, today there's a marketplace in the Muslim quarter. You have people walking above us right now. You'll notice that alongside this bridge, we're kind of here, there's a structure here. What we're going to do in a second, we're going to walk along the bridge and we're going to go down into this structure. Again, excavated recently. I'm going to show you what we found. I'm going to explain to you what the structure